Amazon making their big splash with the AWS Nova Sonic models.
I feel like OpenAI's lost some of its luster over the last 6 to 12 months.
When our robot overlords come, I want to be on Santa's nice list.
Right.
How did you come to Darcy as a name?
I am 80% sure this is the real reason why. All right, it's calling me. I'm gonna answer. Hello?
Hi, is this Travis?
Who's this? Welcome to episode 5 of AI Unplugged. I'm your host, Travis Rehl. And with me today, I have Andrew Sinclair, and we're going to talk all about small language models, voice-to-voice agents, tariffs, and how it affects the prices of GPUs. I hope you're in for a treat.
Hello, Travis.
Hey, man. Andrew, how are you doing?
Good to see you.
You too.
Thanks for having me back. I don't live here in a headquarters in Rochester. You do. So it's always fun to come into town. I always feel welcomed for now episode 5 of AI Unplugged.
Episode 5. That's right.
I've been enjoying these conversations, and since I last came into town, feel like a lot's happened, but that's AI. That's the landscape for you. It feels like new models, right, have been announced recently. I'm thinking of a new ChatGPT model, 4.1, Gemini 2.5, Amazon making their big splash with the AWS Nova Sonic models. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? You're at the forefront of all this.
Oh, yeah, as a whole, from new models to tariffs and NVIDIA GPU shortages to, we've got stories of customers even who are trying to do tens of thousands of requests per second against models and are struggling.
Yeah.
Across every vendor. So there's lots and lots and lots to cover. Just weird stuff we're seeing in the market.
Let's start with, I guess, one of the market leaders, certainly one of the more household names of ChatGPT.
Sure.
4.1.
4.1, GPT 4.1. And 4.1 mini offhand.
So what's the latest? Why are your customers moving towards that?
It's the next evolution. Every 6 months, everybody makes a new model. This is OpenAI's moment for theirs, right? So they just launched 4.1, which is faster, cheaper, better, etc. Actually, the price may be the same offhand, but better than the outgoing.
I'd be worried if it got worse.
That'd be fair, right? Actually, in one case, Meta released some new Llama models, and it did not do well in the market up front.
Because it was slower? And you're trading off cost?
You deployed it and you would get the results and you compare it against an older model and it just wouldn't feel great. You know what I mean? You kind of read it and well, it's right, but it's not good type of a thing. So it can go backwards is my point. But 4.1, good, solid OpenAI model. I wouldn't say there's a huge big
buzz
takeaway. Yeah. You know what it is? It's funny is, when they used to release models, there was always this big fanfare. Everybody would come out of the woodwork and they'd be like, "Oh my God, it's this thing!" And
right. Can I get access to it?
Yeah, and I feel like they announced 4.1 and it went out with a whimper. I didn't hear a lot of follow up maybe for a couple of days.
And surely we haven't hit diminishing return on these announcements, have we?
No, but I do think OpenAI is losing its luster. I think a lot of people have caught up to them. I think they've been enamored of all those weird scandals and things from leadership coming in and out and how
lawsuits about founding and nonprofit,
right? And I think they've just saddled the business organization, technically speaking, to the point where they're struggling to do something interesting. I'll give you a dumb example. When they announced Sora, I feel like a year ago, monumental. Everybody was gasped when they saw the output. Right? And they said, coming soon. And it took 10 months for it to become, maybe 10 months, but it took a while before it became commercially available. And I don't know, it kind of feels like vaporware and for a while, and people were nervous, hey, are they living up to sort of the expectations we've grown from them? So I don't know. I feel like OpenAI has lost some of its luster over the last, 6 to 12 months.
Though I do see still a lot of, end user commercial uses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've put yourself in a toy box yet, but seemingly all my friends and family have of, making themselves into a little action figure.
Yeah.
Wonder how much that's costing them.
Billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, probably are more realistic.
Well,
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Even Sam Altman was saying the fact that people are saying please and thank you as
do you do that,
singular follow-up prompts is costing them tens of millions of
Do you
hundred
do
dollars.
that?
And of course, yes, I do it. When our robot overlords come, I want to be on Santa's nice list.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think comparing with people that don't do that, instead of a warm conversational response, you get something very cold and terse, which is not how I just communicate.
So it's funny. So I have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they were sick the other day, and we're like sitting on the couch, and they're asking me about work and all these things, and I have no idea how to explain.
They're deep programming.
Yeah, like AI and LLMs to my 3-year-old. I have there's great books, by the way, called Machine Learning for Babies.
Okay.
And they have one for like cryptocurrencies for babies, and we have one in the library over here.
I'll grab it. My youngest is 5, so
It is
right up her alley.
hilarious. It is so good. Everything starts like it's a ball, and like there's always the balls do it. It's great. Anyway, the changes that I'm seeing in the market is that it's becoming less and less important how good the model is. And a year ago, I was saying, a year and a half ago, I was saying that LLMs have become commoditized. I think they are commoditized now. Now it's a race around price, and everybody's trying their hardest not to make it cheaper. You can see it in the models today. They're sort of keeping prices where they are, and there's like some passive agreement where they don't reduce the pricing of models. It's a personal opinion for
So there are other ways of differentiating. Like what I had read about Gemini was that it was, pausing and thinking, and maybe having better results because of that. What we used to call latency, I guess.
Sure, that's a technique called chain of thought prompting. And the idea before models were trained to do it, the idea previously was when you asked it a question, you would say, hey, please think step by step through the problem and then provide me your final answer. And what ended up happening is in the prompt output, you would see, oh, I'm thinking about doing this thing over here, and I'm going to try this. And then at the end, like, okay, my final answer is.
So it's not the case where a bug is a feature.
No. So what they did was they trained that process into all of the more recent models. So instead of you saying, please think step by step, it inherently tries to do that. In terms of pricing, there's a sort of related thing that I've learned. When Anthropic launched the new Sonnet 3.7 model, what was interesting was they kept the price the same to 3.5.
And it was the first time they'd done that?
To such a degree of like compute improvements and intelligence, it was a bit odd. And at first I thought it was because they wanted to deprecate 3.5 and like, hey, just make it easy, just come over, it's the same price. That's what I was in my head. And in the first week of me running it and testing it and validating it, I realized they did something a little sneaky on the pricing side. So the price is exactly the same. You pay for input tokens and you pay for output tokens. And it's cheap. Inputs are cheaper than outputs. Sonnet 3.7 is very chatty. It likes to output more than 3.5.
Interesting.
And so you ask it the same question, you would get more verboseness in 3.7. And you think nothing of it other than to realize your pricing model is the same, but you're spending more because there's more output tokens. I thought it was sneaky.
It is sneaky.
Right?
Well, you're using a lot of language like, sneakiness, and I think attributing human aspects and motivations that kind of personify a lot of these LLMs. I find that kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you seeing that trend? That was AWS's big announcement with the Nova suite of Sonic
model.
And, we have been playing around with that. I think last week we showed a little bit of Darcy in text form.
Yeah.
But Darcy does voice.
Yeah. So for context, voice-to-voice models have been out for a while, a couple years.
Yeah.
The two biggest players in the market were 11 Labs and then DeepGram. And then OpenAI had a text-to-speech model, but that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to voice-to-voice or audio-to-audio, not text-to-audio, because everybody could make a text to audio, and then an audio, the text, and then you convert it, and then you answer, and you convert it back. We had that for a while, but audio to audio was sort of the leap or change. Those two companies really do it well first. Gemini and OpenAI also picked up on it pretty early on. Amazon's about a year late, to be honest with you, but I would tell you that the voices it outputs and the speed and the cadence of it is actually really good. Now, they don't give you a whole ton of options on voices. compared to like an
It's
11
so new,
Labs.
though. I mean, we've
Yeah,
like
it's super new.
announced weeks ago.
Yeah, it is good. Not to say it isn't. But it's very Amazon-esque to see how other people play it and use it and deploy it, and then to come back and say, hey, here's a different, better way that I think is more appropriate for our customer base, and that's what they've done. So Sonic is good. It's not great for choice selection. You don't get like 11 Labs. They can give you thousands of voice models to choose from. I think there's a handful with Sonic.
Obviously, there's different use cases, different environments where people would want to choose different tones. For Darcy, for example, like how are you choosing that? What are the factors? Are there things that make it more or less successful depending on the use case?
So maybe I talk about our use case and then our process because it was a lot of fun and a little dangerous, I think. So we built a voice-to-voice agent initially for fun, just like I think everybody else did. And then we built it out into our platform, Darcy, so that you could use it to have conversations with the content of Darcy and among other things.
Yeah.
And what it evolved into was, I think, the funniest process of it, but also probably most impactful and makes me nervous a little bit, was we made an outbound calling voice agent. And so I think what most people will leap to is like outbound sales calls and like cold callers.
I've seen a lot of like whole companies built around those.
Right. But there's also other use cases for this. Like maybe you're at a company in a sort of interdepartmental communications, or maybe you're I don't know, you're in the business of utilities and there's people out in the field and they're doing things and you could text them, right? But they'll miss it. So maybe it's better if they have a headset on that you get to
they're
call
working
them
with their hands. They're suspended from a.
So that's not an outbound call. That's not a sales call, right? But you could make a voice-to-voice agent that can load it up with the right information to prompt and ask questions and inform the worker or person.
I can see that.
Right? Yeah, it seems super appropriate. But for our use case, we made an outbound caller agent because we wanted to see if we could get someone to sign up for a deal with us.
A project.
Yeah, to be honest, it was an experiment. Project. It was an experiment to try. And what's the scariest part was it fooled people so consistently that we actually decided out of like an ethical nature to stop having it try to pretend to be another person. So the agent would call somebody and say, hey, I'm Jane or whatever.
And self-identify.
Self-identify as a person,
Yeah.
not an AI. And it would try to like convince you to book a deal. And the problem was that it was so convincing that people would think they're talking to a real person. And when they would call us back up, we would have to tell them, or we would tell them sort of,
hey, I want to talk to Darcy.
Yeah, we got a really mixed bag. We got some people who were like, oh my God, that's amazing. I definitely want to do work with you. And others who are like, that seems a little like not great that you used AI to call me. And so there's definitely this sort of opinion that was formed.
For me, as soon as I get a call that I believe to be AI and automated, 9 times out of 10, unless there's an incredible hook, I'm hanging up.
Right.
And so if I can't tell,
right,
and then I feel deceived on the back end, it's probably not going to be so great.
So what we leaned into the fact that it's AI. And we believe that customers who get cold called by this thing and they're told, hey, I am an AI, and they stick around with it, they're more likely to actually want to do work with us in the AI space.
Interesting.
So I'll show it to you?
Yeah. And as you're pulling that up, I mean, it makes me think of the changing landscape around like liability.
Oh, yeah.
That now there's like AI liability insurance that companies can get because of these incidents of AI generated systems that like fabricate information.
Right.
Where there's real consequences, there's confusion, there's governing bodies now getting involved to say, all right, we need to draw some rules around this.
So I had just real quick before I show it to you, I had an idea, and the systems were smart enough to stop me from doing it, which I found to be great. My idea was I was going to have it call my mother and let her talk to it.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, because she can chat quite a bit. And so I set it up to like go do this. And when I went to go make its first outbound call to call her cell phone, the systems actually stopped me.
Yeah.
Right. Because saying like, hey, this isn't like they weren't designed for
You're
use
a better
cases.
son than that, Travis.
Right. And it was like, okay, I felt a little better. that people weren't going to try to do some nefarious things because there's some protections in place.
That's good.
Even though mine wasn't that nefarious. Anyway, let me show you the thing. So this is a real call. The system, I'm kicking it off myself, but we have an automation where it pulls our leads list. It does everything. It updates. We use Outreach for our outbound calling.
Prospective customers.
Yeah, it updates like dispositions, like are they interested or not interested, the reason why.
How we
like
talk to them.
It does all that stuff. But for sake of conversation, I'm just gonna have it call me. All right. All right, it's calling me. I'm gonna answer. Hello.
Hi, is this Travis?
This is. Who's this?
I'm Steve, an AI assistant with Innovative Solutions. We're part of the AWS Partner Network. How are you today?
Oh, Steve, I'm doing well. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm calling about some incentives Amazon is offering for businesses interested in generative AI.
Oh my God, Steve, sign me up. I am down.
Perfect. Let me see what times we have available. Would sometime next week work for you?
Sure. How about Tuesday, 2:00?
So that's Tuesday at 2:00, right?
You got it.
Great. And could I confirm your email for the meeting details?
Hold on. I can't handle this anymore.
You get the idea. You go back and forth and like, it'll ask me to confirm my phone number, my email, and when it's all done, it'll actually hang up the phone call.
But even like his, right, Steve's cadence of, speaking haltingly as I am right now.
Yeah.
Makes it so much more realistic that if I'm maybe driving and it's on the car phone speaker, I'm not sure I'd be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, I mean honestly, like
my mother would not.
Right. Part of the trick that I've learned is that everybody's gonna tell you the prompts matter and the voices matter. Yes. The way you tune the voice probably matters the most. So one of the things you can do is you can change the actual the audio channel that the audio goes out on, and you can like downgrade the audio channel so that it sounds a little grainier. And when that happens, people think it's less professional, and it's less professional. Like a lot of the AI voices sound too professional.
Right.
And you can pick up on it. So there's like weird tricks that we've picked up on to kind of make it sound better and better and better over time.
Even like pauses.
Yeah.
Or things saying like those filler words that we all do. Ums and ahs.
Right.
That's incredible. What can you share what that's built on, or are you using different models?
That's our Darcy. So we're using it on our own product.
It's amazing.
Yeah. We got a whole bunch of features like lined up for it that are more practical. But yeah.
Wow. So have you played around with Sonic at all? Is that something that you think we'll eventually have more of these voices and personas?
I think the biggest problem of not just Sonic, but like systems like it is the problem is not the model. The model is the easy part now. The hard part is integrations. In our case, we're using Outreach. We had to build an entire integration to prospect out of Outreach and update Outreach and all this other stuff that came. That was way more time intensive than building on a model.
I guess I'm still thinking about, Darcy, even as a name, and building these personas like Steve, that we've been doing this. I don't know. Is it to make us more comfortable with these AI assistants and agents? Thinking of like Siri and Alexa.
Yeah.
These names and these persons, and like the Jetsons, right? They had a robot who had artificial intelligence named Rosie.
Rosie.
So how did you come to Darcy as a name? Like, is there something behind the idea of a person that makes it more natural,
it's way simpler than you think.
Emotional?
Way simpler than you think. I am 80% sure this is the real reason why. My kids, who are 4 and 3, were watching some TV show. I'm pretty sure they said Darcy somewhere in some character. And then 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm coding and I'm having a delirious state,
an epiphany.
I literally have to say, I think I said to myself, man, I should really like name this project something. And I had no idea what it was. I was like, I'll just call it Darcy. And when we were going through the marketing exercise of choosing a name, we had previously communicated to Darcy to a few key people in like our partner sphere. And it stuck to the point where they couldn't stop saying that word. And we were kind of forced into it.
Yeah.
So now people are like, how did that happen? And my reaction is like, well, it's kind of awkward, but my children are watching TV one night.
Yeah. No, that's definitely interesting. We're creating artificial intelligence to sound and feel and behave more human.
Right.
So why don't we talk to humans?
That's awkward.
Because we need sleep. We need food.
That's true.
We have demands that AI doesn't.
That's true. My children are very needy.
That's interesting. Other big news of the time is relating to AI is tariffs. NVIDIA, right? Restriction on not only
TSMC.
H100
Right.
chips, but H20 now. How do you think the hardware limitations on that are going to affect the industry, and does it go beyond hardware?
Let me give you a real outcome that that I think will become worse because of tariffs, and then we'll kind of walk into how the tariffs affected it. So I was on a call yesterday with one of the leading hyperscalers who provides an API endpoint for LLMs.
Sure.
Literally one of the big ones, and we have among the highest tier of account status, right, for access to the API and rate limiting and all these other things, right? We have all the bells and whistles, and we're launching Darcy, and we're stress testing Darcy, and we're scaling out to like thousands of concurrent users. We're doing all the things to make sure we're prepared, right? Because we have a number of customers signed up. We want to make sure they have a good experience. And we realized that we were having failures at the LLM tier, and the APIs were not responding fast enough. They were doing 529s, and they were asking for like retries and saying, "Oh, let's try again," like all these things. So I called up the hyperscaler. I was like, "Hey guys, I need more compute. I need more. And if you can't give me more, I'm going to have to go somewhere else to find it because I can't scale into you."
Yeah, it's a real limitation.
Yeah, I mean, it literally sat me back and said, do I have to form new partnerships that I've never considered in the past simply because I can't get the throughput I need?
Which is dangerous for anyone.
I would, in my career, I've never considered that before. I mean, I've just always been like little things for like integrations and whatever else. I've never been in a position where someone said, "I don't have servers for you." That was literally the response I got back.
Yeah,
we don't have
like
servers for you.
Pre-cloud talk there.
And their answer to me was, when I asked them what to do, they said, "I can make introductions for you to other hyperscalers who have more compute," which I found to be bewildering.
Bizarre.
That someone would even bother to give up work and money and so forth to give to somebody else. But the reality is, they don't have compute, and we're not a small account. So I wouldn't say we're not Intel. We're not like some huge conglomerate, but we're definitely not small
competent either. Yeah.
And so to go back to tariffs, tariffs are projected to double GPU costs, right? Like I went to go buy a GPU at home. I have a 4090, an NVIDIA 4090 for my desktop at home. Now I was going to go buy one of the more newer models. The price is like literally doubled overnight, right? And if you think about like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and more, if you think about, I don't know, it was maybe a year ago, they started pre-purchasing years worth of GPUs
Anthropic,
ahead of schedule. What they never anticipated was if a shipment of GPUs is mid-flight, it will get affected by the tariff.
Yeah, strike of a pen.
Right? Like you're literally, it's on the ship, it's coming over, and then suddenly tariff hits, and now it's 20 times more expensive.
Well, the good news is, you don't like the tariffs,
3 times more expensive, but yeah.
Just wait a week, and maybe it'll be totally different.
I get it.
But it's hard to predict for businesses.
Right.
You mentioned compute. I talked to a customer today that was running up compute cost limitations around LLMs. They were interested in SLMs.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that?
Small language models?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the big LLMs you see today are typically going to be like 70 billion parameters, 400 billion parameters, like really big size, meaty things. Small language models are somewhere between maybe 8 gigabytes in size, or 8 billion parameters or less in size. Maybe they're like 2 billion parameters. Think of them as highly specialized models for a very particular use case. You can't have it do chat, because chat can go in many different directions, and so larger models are obviously better for that. But maybe you're doing classifications, or you're doing sentiment analysis, or you're doing a very particular workflow that you always need to have an LM do a particular use case against. So you can do is you can take a large language model and distill it into something smaller. You can take a small language model and fine tune it. You can and host it, but they're cheaper, faster. They're really cheap, really fast.
So much like mammals overtaking dinosaurs, do you think SLMs will overtake LLMs, or will be more specific use case specialization.
You know those like funny movies where like the people stack in a trench coat?
Yeah, cartoons. I'm aware.
Okay, yeah. I
Three
think
kids in a trench coat.
3 kids in a trench coat. I think it'll be that. I think I don't think people want 20 small language models they have to manage in different places
or evaluate or choose from.
Right. I think they are gonna want faster compute. Now there's a methodology for this called a mixture of experts model type, which is children in a trench coat, lots of little small models in a trench coat stacked on high, and when you make a request to the LLM, it then chooses the right model inside of it. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but generally speaking, is how it works. Chooses the right model inside of it, and then that particular model answers the question at that point in time. So you ask the question again, you may get a different model, or you ask a different question, you may get a different model. And what's nice about it is it's a unified API. It's going in place. You're only using as much compute as the individual small model is used at time of execution, even though you've stacked 10 on top of each other in a trench coat. Mixture of experts. Mistral, the company based out of France, they are big pioneers in mixture of experts. They've been doing it for quite a long time. It's been around for a while. It's not proprietary to them, but I think people are catching on to it more and more.
Well, yeah, it was, newer to me to hear it, but that's why we have you. I love this mixture of experts. Yeah. You're our resident expert, and it's just cool talking about all this stuff. And I hope to come back and talk soon again.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me out.
See you, Chad.
Talking and
until
time
next
in the
time.
United States. See you, Andrew.